Hi, my name's Kamala Thompson, and I'm going to go over how I use AutoCrit to not only edit my novels, but also my freelance nonfiction work. I'm not going to cover every single feature in this video because it would be a really long video. If you have a feature that you want to know more about, leave a comment below. You should know, before we get started, that AutoCrit isn't good at maintaining formats. I highly recommend using AutoCrit before you've formatted your document. If you don't do it in that order, you're going to get really frustrated. Also, know that AutoCrit doesn't export its formats very well either. Let's go ahead and jump in. Once you log in, you'll see the Let's Get Started prompt. To start a new project, select the Upload New Text option. Open a file allows you to open a saved project, and sample text lets you play around with a can sample to see how the system works. You'll notice a prompt always pops up after Let's Get Started, asking you whether you want to clear the text already in place, even if there is none. Just click OK. Once you've selected Upload New Text, you can decide whether to paste part of your work or all of it. Personally, when I'm editing a novel, I choose to edit one chapter at a time. Then, once I'm done editing the chapters, I'll paste in half of my novel and run a summary report at that time. The reason I do it this way is because I've noticed that if I paste the entire novel in there, it runs really slow or can't process the information. If I do half a novel, I can still have the benefit of seeing whether or not I've repeated a word way too many times in my copy and need to edit. For the purpose of this video, I'm pasting in a single chapter. Then I'll select Run Summary Report. I like the summary report over clicking on separate tabs and running each component right away. The summary report allows me to understand the areas I'm weakest and has some nice visualizations. Don't worry too much about your overall score. The category indicators are where I focus first. The higher number of indicators in a category, the higher number of potential issues to work on. Repetition, word choice, and strong writing are high. I know those are the tabs I'll devote most of my time to. I do like to pay attention to the sentences analysis section for nonfiction pieces in particular. Digital content should skew heavier on the 10 or less word range than the 10 to 19 word range and contain very little, if any, sentences above that mark. The paragraph analysis applies more to fiction. If you write mysteries, thrillers, or other more action-centric genres, or have a really action-heavy chapter, the number of slow-paced paragraphs should be very low. The How You Compare section is interesting. Make sure your selected genre is accurate for a good comparison. Unfortunately, the platform is only intended for fiction, making this slightly less useful for nonfiction. In my case, showing versus telling and filler words are a problem in this example. How consistent you are shows you visually how well you stick to the proper point of view and tense, and how often you rely on dialogue tags. I know I don't need to spend much time on dialogue tags. I write in the third person past tense, and it would be important for me to look at these sections to make sure my deviations only take place in dialogue. Sentence starters visualize a portion of the strong writing tab up above. Repetition throws up a few stats, but the more useful representation, in my opinion, are the charts below the repetition section. I really like the word and phrase frequency charts. They let me visualize whether the majority of my problem is benign or character words that are particular to my series. In this case, I can already see a few words that need to be reduced, and I can see by how much by hovering over the word. The phrase frequency report works in the same way. The summary report is a great tool to get a general idea of where you need to focus your time. However, it doesn't completely take away the need to click on each tab and subcategory to make sure you're not missing any major issues. We'll only run through one tab and subcategory. The tool functions very similarly across all categories, so you should be okay to explore on your own after this video. For this demo, I'll focus on repetition first by clicking on the Repetition tab at the top of the screen. Repeated words shows words that are repeated in close proximity, whereas word frequency focuses solely on the volume of repetitions. Both are important, but I'll start with repeated words as I view this as the greater of the two evils. I like to click Show All and scroll through the document to identify a chapter with an issue. Once I spot one, such as this chapter with 2 mentions of the word days, I'll select the word I want to change and use a cool tool you'd never know about without this video because it's not at all intuitive. On the left, there's an icon that looks like a book. It's not a dictionary. It's actually a powerful thesaurus. It can take a while to pop up, so be patient. Once I've finished editing in a subcategory, I'll save the file if I'm editing directly in AutoCrit and not the source document as I go along. In this case, we'll pretend that I'm editing as I go along. Your document isn't something you can come back to if you close the tab or accidentally hit refresh in your browser. Anytime you refresh or navigate away, AutoCrit doesn't save your information unless you click Save first. Like I mentioned, each tab and subcategory functions almost exactly the same as what I just showed you. The rest of the video will be dedicated to running through the mysterious icons on the left. We've covered saving. The next icon allows you to upload or paste new content or open an existing saved project. Just don't forget to save before you decide to select either of these options. This icon allows you to export, email, or print your document. We'll run through exporting quickly. AutoCrit does provide quite a few options, including some basic font types, sizes, and file types. I'll set these to 1/2 inch indentation and double spacing to cut out a couple formatting steps I'll need to do later. The export defaults to your Downloads folder. It doesn't allow you to select where to store the file and can hang for a while after it's finished. Go ahead and close the window after you see it is finished downloading. This icon wipes out all of your currently opened content. I'm not sure why anyone would do that. It auto-wipes when you decide to work on a new or existing project automatically. We've covered the thesaurus. The speaking icon is interesting. You can select part or all of your current document and listen to a dictation. This can be useful for catching clumsy paragraphs that you wouldn't notice otherwise. Bold and italic icons are what you would expect. The next setting is the ability to turn on auditing by chapter, which then allows you to jump from chapter to chapter. I've noticed it doesn't always pick up chapters reliably, but AutoCrit does have frequent updates, so don't discount it. The last icon gives you a list of tweets to pick from so you can let everyone know AutoCrit is the tool you're using to edit at the moment. It's smart marketing, and because it's smart marketing, I've used it. This concludes the tips I have to offer in this video. You may have noticed some bugs, and you're right, they exist. However, in the 2 years I've used AutoCrit, they have frequent updates and changes to their UI, so the bugs don't last very long. I still highly recommend this tool and know that it's helped me improve my writing. It doesn't replace the need for a good developmental editor or a final proofread before you publish your book, but it goes a long way in teaching you what your common issues are and helping you stay on guard so those aren't mistakes you make as frequently. Thanks for watching. If you have any tools that I should check out or suggestions, leave a comment below and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks again.